Hello guys, this video is to show you how to solve a quadratic equation by completing the square and then using the square root method. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and write the problem, one of the problems I'm gonna solve here for you. X squared minus 6x plus 13 equals 0. Now, one thing to know is that when we say completing the square, that means we need a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial will be like this one here, x squared plus 4x, for example, plus 4. And we call it a perfect square trinomial because when we factor it, okay, we have the same factors. So at the end, we can write it as x plus 2 squared. So keep that in mind, please. Okay? So at the end, we can write it like this. So this is what we need. The problem is what we have here, the 13 here, is not the right number. Okay? So we have to move it to the other side. That means I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. And if you do that, you will get x squared minus 6x equals to negative 13. Now, I'm leaving a space here because I need the number that would make it a perfect square trinomial here. Meaning that I'm going to put plus c since I don't know the number yet, okay? Now, how do I calculate c? Well, to calculate c, I just need to do 1/2 b squared. And b is this value. Remember, this is a, the 1 here invisible. B is negative 6 here. And c, you don't have it. Okay? In this case here, 1/2 b would be 1/2 times 1/2 negative 6. Okay? And the answer, you square it. Now, 1/2 negative 6 is negative 3. When you square it, it's 9. So I'm going to have to add 9 here and add 9 there. Okay, as I'm gonna put the rest of the equation here. Okay, so the rest of the equation is x squared minus 6x, okay, the equal sign here, negative 13, just to show you where I got the c. Okay, once you do that, now I know this side is a perfect square trinomial, so I can factor it, right? It's x minus 3, x minus 3, very easy to factor. This side now is negative 4, okay? Now this can be written, since it's the same factor, can be x minus 3 squared equals to negative 4, okay? Well, what do I do next? Yes, I have to use the square root method now, because according to the square root method, if x squared is equal to 4, to a in this case, I want to say a. Therefore, x is plus or minus the square root of a. So I can use this right here to say, since x minus 3 squared is negative 4, therefore, x minus 3 must be plus or minus the square root of negative 4, okay? Now, this is not a real number, but it's an imaginary number. Now, one thing to know is that if you have, I'm going to put it here, square root of negative 4, it's the same as square root of negative, 4 times negative 1, okay? And negative 1, complex number, is 4 I squared. Negative 1 is I squared. So the answer here will be 2i, right? The square root of 4i squared is 2i. So I have x minus 3 equals to plus or minus 2i. And I have to add 3 to both sides. Therefore, x is 3 plus or minus 2i. Okay? So it's a complex number. The solution is, in this case, 3 plus or minus 2i. So this is how you solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. Okay? You first need to get the value that will complete the square, okay? Then you use the square root method. And your final answer, as in this case here, is 3 plus or minus 2i. 3 plus or minus 2i. Okay, let's try to see if we can solve another one. Okay, let's try to see. So as you can see, as you know, since you know what you're doing, it shouldn't be a big deal. You just go step by step, okay? Step by step. Now, if you have this one, let's say 2 2m squared plus 10m equals 3. Obviously, you know the 3 won't work here. So let's say, before you do anything here, if you're completing the square, you don't want the coefficient of m squared to be 2, to be a number either other than 1. You want it to be 1. Okay, therefore, you're going to try to divide everything by the coefficient here, the leading coefficient, just to make sure you get 1 right here at the beginning. Okay, now it becomes 1 because 2 is cancelled out. So you have m squared plus 10 by 2 is 5, so 5m equals to 3 over 2, okay? Now, the thing here is that you don't have the c to complete the square again. So let's make it up, right? Let's get a value c here. And therefore, I'm going to have to add it to the other side as well. Okay? So, what I need is m squared plus 5m plus c equals to 3 over 2 plus c. So, one thing you have to see here is that I need to get the value of c, right? So, how do we get c again? According to what we just did, you just need half of b. Where's b? B is right here. So half of 5, which is like this here. Half of 5 squared. Half of 5 is just 5 over 2 here, just like this. You don't have to have a decimal, by the way. 5 over 2 squared, which is 25 over 4, right? So 25 over 4, okay? Now, in this case here, you know what c is. Therefore, you can write your equation m squared plus 5m plus 25 over 4 equals to 3 over 2 plus 25 over 4. Because that's what you just got, right? 25 over 4. Okay. Well, what we can do here is getting the factoring this, right? So if you factor by factor this right here, you know it's going to be the same factor because this is the number that will complete the square. So this will be m plus, now two numbers that would give you 25 over 4, that's 5 over 2, right? So 5 over 2 times 5 over 2. Why? Because 5 over 2 times 5 over 2 is 25 over 4. When you add them, 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2, you get 5. Because that will be 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2 would be 10 over 2, which would be 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5, okay? So then you know you write here equals to, here you can combine, you can put them together here. It's, remember, LCD here. Now, how to add fractions, I showed you in another video, so you should know. I need the LCD here, that would be 2, okay? That would be 4, I'm saying. So I need this to be 4 as well. So I know that this will then be 6 over 4 plus 25 over 4, okay? So let's go. This side, it's a perfect square trinomial now. So I can put m plus 5 over 2 squared equals to 4, right? You keep the denominator and the top is just 31, okay? Now, according to the square root method, okay, the square root method says if this is true, therefore m plus 5 over 2 should be plus or minus the square root of 31 over 4, okay? Plus or minus the square root of 31 over 4. Now, I need to subtract here 5 over 2 from both sides. Okay, and I'll have these two canceled out, okay? Therefore, m is negative 5 over 2 plus or minus square root of 31 is just square root of 31 over square root of 4 is 2, okay? So same denominator, I can just say that same denominator here, I can just say that m is let me see if I missed anything here. Don't think I missed anything. All right, so this will then be m equals to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 31 over 2. So negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 31 over 2. Now, remember, this can be written this way, negative 5 plus square root of 31 over 2, or it could be left like this. This could be left like what you have here. So you could leave it like this, or you could write it like this, depending on your instructor. So it's still right. So there's nothing wrong with either one here. So this, either this way or this way, no problem. Okay, so things to remember. To solve a quadratic equation by completing the square, you need to complete the square. And what do we mean by completing the square? You need to get the right number that will help you have a trinomial, a perfect square trinomial. I mean, once you have that perfect square trinomial, you know it's pretty easy to write this way here to factor. And after you factor, if it's written like this, something squared equals to another number on the other side, then you can actually use the square root method to solve. So that's what I did here. Using the square root method, I have negative 5 over 2 plus or minus square root of 31 over 2. Okay, so this is it here. That's all I wanted to solve for you. I wanted to show you how to complete the square. Now, guys, these skills you're learning here in my videos, you will use them in all of your other math classes, okay? Because you're gonna have to deal with algebra almost everywhere, okay? All right, so that's all I had for you. Keep practicing. If you don't get something in this video, make sure you go back to the other videos so you can actually see what I did. For example, how to factor trinomials, things like that, okay? So that's all I had for you. Thank you.